Hey guys, Dr. Morse, injury experts. So we are heading into week 2, and this is your Friday preview of the injuries of all the week 2 matchups on Sunday and Monday. So I'm going to start with quarterbacks. We'll go to running backs, wide receivers, and then tight ends. So Brock Purdy is dealing with a significant turf toe injury that is going to hold him out at least 1 week, potentially up to 5. Now he also has a left shoulder injury, a non-throwing shoulder injury, which is not a big deal per se. But the turf toe is a very big deal. I did a separate video if you want to know. But that's where we're at with that. Now, the Jaden Daniels came into the game last night with a wrist injury that probably wasn't a big deal, but then really struggled and suffered what appeared to be an ankle injury and a possible knee injury. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we head into the rest of week 2. Now, I'm not overly worried about Lamar Jackson's thumb laceration. And, as of right now, Matthew Stafford's back injury is still okay. But, I'm worried about that in general. But heading into running backs, there's only a couple guys that are injured. Now, James Cook popped up early on the week with a hamstring injury, but it ended up being a whole lot of nothing. But keep an eye on it, but I'm not overly worried about him. If you have him, you're going to start him. Will Shipley, who is Saquon Barkley's backup, ended up suffering an oblique injury, probably an oblique strain, and that is going to hold him out at least 1 week, possibly up to 3 weeks, and that's likely why they traded for Tank Bigsby. Now, Roschon Johnson has been banged up with a foot injury over the past couple of weeks. He did not play last week, and he will be activated to play this on week 2. But something to take note of in part of the backfield. Now, McCaffrey is still dealing with that calf injury, but he looked really good, at least from a volume perspective, although he did not seem very explosive to me. As long as he's on the field and getting the volume he's getting, he's going to be very fantasy relevant. Devon Achane probably out of the moderate re-injury window for that calf, but still a little bit of a re-injury because of the nature of the calf. But they're playing here at Miami against the Patriots, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. There's rumblings that Jalen Wright is probably not going to be able to make it back this week, so Ollie Gordon might get a little bit more work this week. We'll see, but he could be back next week. And then Jordan James may end up making his debut, but again, he's really the backup to Christian McCaffrey, or one of the backups. Now, heading into wide receivers, there's a ton of wide receivers injured. Xavier Worthy, by the grace of God, he must be some type of alien, suffered a ridiculous shoulder dislocation, just being leveled by Travis Kelce in, was that Brazil or wherever that was? And long story short, ended up getting reviewed, and somehow he practiced yesterday and today, which is unbelievable. Now, they're listing him as doubtful, and I will be astonished if he plays. But the fact that he was even able to practice is very impressive. He's going to likely try to play with a brace on his arm, his right arm, which is when he's dislocated. But he's probably going to have a lot of issues, especially if and when he gets hit. Very high risk for re-injury, but the fact that he's out in less than a week playing, practicing is friggin' incredible. Likely tells me it's a very, very small labral tear, and that's why he's able to get out there. Drake London suffered a shoulder injury, likely an AC sprain, probably a type 1, which is the mildest, and he will be good to go in week 2 on Sunday night, and likely a great matchup. We will also see his partner in crime, Darnell Mooney, make his debut, as he suffered a significant shoulder injury. We don't have specifics. It could have been a dislocation. It could have been a bad AC sprain. It could have been a fracture, something fluky. But he missed all of preseason, and he missed last week, and he's finally reportedly ready to likely debut in week 2. Now, he has massive potential. He is a wide receiver 2 often, depending on the week. And I think he actually helps Drake London because he's going to require and demand some attention. And they really don't have a whole lot of wide receiver depth after him. I do expect him to play, and I will consider him for a flex spot because of the way they run this offense and how much 3 wide receiver splits they use. Puka Nacua will be fine with his laceration. DJ Moore suffered a combination of an abdomen and groin injury, although it looked like he basically got sandwiched. He did okay, and he will be good to go. Now, Juwan Jennings did not practice yesterday or the day before with a shoulder injury after they got both a CT and an MRI, but he ended up practicing today, so there's maybe a chance he plays. I don't know if I completely trust him. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to get about 47 targets like Hollywood Brown did last week from Mac Jones. But if Juwan Jennings is on the field, he's obviously a threat. I'm going to hold my breath until he basically proves that he can stay healthy and he's still, effective on the field. But so, that could go either way. I have concerns about him staying on the field when he's there, so be very careful with Jennings this week. Malik Neighbors will be fine with his back injury. Keon Coleman with a groin strain, but he'll be fine. Chris Olave banged up with a rib injury, but they didn't even put him on the report. Jalen Waddle dealing with also an AC sprain. I think this was to his left shoulder. He will be good to go and against the Patriots, who he could potentially have a good game at. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Wan'Dale Robinson was banged up with an ankle injury that he did not practice Wednesday. I think he got limited in yesterday, and I'm expecting him to go as the wide receiver 2 behind Malik Neighbors. Hollywood Brown also dealing with an ankle injury, but not overly concerning. He'll be fine. Could get monster volume this week, although I'm down on the Chiefs this week. Kayshon Boutte ended up having a monster game last week, or at least from a overall and semi-impressive perspective. Banged up with a shoulder injury himself, probably an AC sprain, but he's good to go and could have another fantastic week, especially after what Daniel Jones did last week to the secondary of the Dolphins, who are really banged up. Now, Renfro was banged up with a rib injury and a hamstring injury. He'll be fine to go. Jake Bobo of the Seahawks cleared his concussion protocol, but Casey Washington of the Atlanta Falcons did not clear his. Alec Pierce is fine with his knee. And Christian Kirk is expected to be out again with his hamstring. I haven't seen an update on Braxton Berrios, but he's no longer really fantasy relevant. Jordan Watkins could make his debut for the 49ers with his high ankle. Jalen Royals is out himself with his patellar tendon injury, which is concerning at this point because usually these aren't that bad. And everyone else is pretty much good to go for wide receivers. Finishing up strong with tight ends, George Kittle is unfortunately going to miss the next month with a grade 2 hamstring strain. Brock Bowers probably going to miss this game with a right knee injury, likely an MCL sprain. The MCL is protective of the ACL, so it is very risky. If you return and you get a re-injury to this, you can technically put too much stress on the ACL and you would tear that. So I don't know if they're going to let him play. This is a Monday night game, probably going to be a shootout, but unfortunately, there's a chance he might not play, which would make Michael Mayer very relevant in this game. I'm assuming they're going to announce tomorrow what the status is, but he has not practiced yet this week. I think they're err on the side of caution, although he probably wants to play. Evan Ingram reportedly got hit in the back of the calf with a helmet and left the game. But he missed or did limited practice, whatever it was, on Wednesday. Ended up practicing in full the rest of the week, so he got lucky and he's good to go. I expect R.J. Harvey to get more work. Colby Parkinson out this week with a shoulder injury, but Davis Allen, one of the other tight ends, is in. Mason Taylor is still dealing with that high ankle sprain, probably going to continue to struggle, but he will likely play. And Dallas Goedert is out with his own knee injury. Look out for A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith to have monster games this week. They're going to eat the Kansas City Chiefs man coverage alive. They both are man coverage specialists, and they both really boost when Goddard is out. Now, Dawson Knox probably going to play with his mild hip injury. Isaiah Likely probably going to make his debut either next week or the week after with his foot fracture. Darren Waller, rumblings that he may retire again. And then Cade Otton struggled last week, not surprising with his groin injury, but probably going to be more relevant this week. That's what I have for you. There's 60-something names on this list. Look out for more individual videos on Sunday and Monday as the new injuries drop. If you're looking for betting tips, I would be happy to help. Check out the Injury Experts. We have a full package for whatever you need. If you just want to stay up to date on injuries and want the injury report, just sign up for a free account and you can get the updated injury report that we update multiple times per day. Good luck.